Alyssa Brazino, and I'm the producer of Cockpit Council. Welcome to Tim's Take, where Tim gives his take on current events and questions from you guys, the audience. Let's dive right in. So we talk a lot about data on Cockpit Council. Can you elaborate on the importance of data-driven decision-making for legal teams?
Yeah, absolutely. I think using data to make decisions is something that every legal team should start to lean into as the data available to them becomes more and more comprehensive.
Mm-hmm.
I talk a lot about consistency,
Mm-hmm.
right? How it's important for legal teams to be consistent. And that's consistent in terms of quality, consistent in terms of process, and consistent in terms of communication.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that data helps you to evaluate how consistent you are being,
Mm-hmm.
and also can help you to identify maybe problematic things in process
Mm-hmm.
or problematic aspects of quality that you're seeing, right? You may always recognize when something, maybe something drops below a quality threshold that you
Mm-hmm.
really want.
Mm-hmm.
But it only happens 2% of the time, right? So is that something you really need to fix, as opposed to maybe a process that is a little bit more tiresome,
Mm-hmm.
where if you look at how that process can change some of your other metrics,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you want to change that process to try to optimize for those other metrics, right? So the data helps you evaluate how consistent you're being.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so the better the data that you have and the more you follow it for decisions, the more consistent your outcomes are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And every other part of the business has recognized that to be almost an absolute truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about time that legal teams actually do the same.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And how can technology that helps with data also help your team stay productive?
Oftentimes, it means that you don't have to manually collect that data.
Right.
Like, that's probably the biggest part about it. Like,
Mhm.
if you're using a system that does track your activity and does track certain characteristics of the work that's being performed, or the inputs and outputs of that technology,
Mm-hmm.
then you should, by all means, be able to more easily extract that data and then put that data into context that's useful for you and your team,
Mhm.
right? And I think it is important to think about pulling data from the tool and then putting it into context. A lot of people can
Right.
pull the data from the tool, but you got to put it in the context of the business
Mm-hmm.
or the problem that you're trying to solve, or else it's just not helpful as data for data's sake.
Right.
Right, it's that context that really actually makes it work. And
Mhm.
so when you pull that data out, put it into the context of like, okay, what benefit is this telling me, versus maybe there's a little bit of a more strenuous process associated with using that technology.
Mm-hmm.
The decision making that you get out of that, again, I go back to consistency. The consistency that you get out of that data
Right.
and the context that that data brings to you
Mm-hmm.
is well worth a little bit of effort
Mhm.
on the part of the people using the technology.
Definitely. Thank you for listening to Tim's Take. You can send your questions to cockpitcouncil@linksquares.com.